Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast, presented by RacerX, the podcast for moto industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and riders. If you want to grow your brand and business in today's digital-first world, you have to know how to turn a stranger into a fan, turn a like into a customer. You have to know how to turn attention into dollars. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you in the know on real marketing tactics that work in the moto world so that you grow your business and help grow the sport. Get ready to learn from the very same marketing experts trusted by RacerX, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, and NBC Sports. They'll help you navigate the world of digital marketing for your moto brand. This is the Moto Marketing Podcast. Presented by RacerX.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast. Hey, before we jump into today's episode, I want to tell you about the promotion that RacerX has going on. At the time of listening to this, you can always see what their current promotion is by going to racerxonline.com/Moto Marketing. You can always find their current promotion there. Right now, as of recording this podcast, you can enter for a chance to win a set of Method wheels and Maxxis tires. It's a package worth up to $2,500. You're also going to get 12 Lucas Oil Pro Motocross collectible stickers from the 2021 season, 12 print issues, 12 digital issues, the RacerX Read Alouds, digital magazine archive. So if you want to read it on your phone or if you want to read it in print like I still do, you can do it either way. Go to racerxonline.com/Moto Marketing. Hey, we've got an awesome guest for you today, somebody that I've been wanting to meet for a long time, and I had the opportunity. Our paths crossed. Everything happens for a reason, right? So our paths crossed at the Mountaineer GNCC in Beckley, West Virginia. It was at the Bechtel Reserve, the Boy Scout camp, and I ran into this gentleman, and I saw the logo, and I was like, and that logo is for Camp Royal. And my guest today is Brandon Heidemann. He is the founder and president and second in command. I believe I got that right, Brandon. If not, please correct me. He's the guy that had a vision, brought this awesome action sports camp to little old West Virginia. And I've heard of it, and I've seen it for the last couple of years, and I'm like, I've got to meet this guy, because as many of you know, we're in Morgantown, West Virginia. I'm, a mountain bike, BMX, just junkie, and this guy brings my dream, my Disneyland to West Virginia, and I didn't know him, and it was driving me nuts, and I ran into him at this event, and here we are. We've had a couple conversations, and I thought he'd make a great guest for today. So, Brandon, man, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I appreciate you making time for us today.
Man, I'm stoked to be here. Thank you. Thanks for the kind words.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just start here. For anybody that doesn't know, what is Camp Royal? Because it's pretty unique.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to say it is it's Jesus, X Games, and summer camp all together. And it's funny because a lot of people have this stigma about Jesus being all about religion and rules and whatnot. And we're like, no, he's the rebel. He's the one that goes after what he loves and doesn't care what other people think about who he is. It's more of what he's after. He loves us so much that he gave up everything for us. And so he's the ultimate badass. Can I just say that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so we love to pursue a relationship with him, but we also love to skate, ride BMX, mountain bike. We do a lot of F&B stuff. We do a lot of scooter stuff. Some of the best scooter riders in the world are out at our place all the time. And so we have a blast. It's Woodward plus like a faith-based spin. So It's really fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I'm West Virginia is near and dear to my heart. I'm in, the northern part of the state, which is about 2.5-3 hours from Camp Royal. And so I started to, hear rumors of this place, and I was like, man, what? There's no way this thing is actually in West Virginia. And it wasn't until the contest that you guys had down there this year, and somebody that I've had as a guest on this show and gotten to know, I follow his videos pretty religiously, is Barry Nobles, who's an iconic BMX and mountain bike guy. And I watched his videos one week, and he's in my home state down at Camp Royal, and I got to actually see what this place was from his couple of days of vlogs, and that's when it got real for me. And then a few months later, we met. So you're not from West Virginia. As of right now, you're all over the place. You're a businessman, which is cool. You're in Dallas right now. Yeah. You told me this story, but for our listeners, where did this concept come from, and how did we come to the decision of putting it in West Virginia as the home base for this?
Yeah, it's a wild story, and honestly, it's one of having a dream and doing what you can with what you have where you're at, and trusting that God's going to give you the next step when he sees that you're using what he's given you. And so we started out, I was a 5-year-old that had just lost my dad. He died in a kayaking accident, and I was living in Colorado, and I was a little boy looking for affirmation, man. I needed that voice saying that I was enough. You know, we all have that inside, but I was screaming for it. And so found a little KX85 in our garage of the place we were renting, and instantly fell in love. I thought that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. And so we got a little bike, and I started riding that, and I started getting affirmation. I got that voice that I was looking for of you're enough or you're valued. I started getting that attention through how I'd ride that little motorcycle. So that drove me to a pro career. I was never a big name, but I was one of those privateers that was racing on the pro level, and motocross was everything to me. I'd eat, sleep, and breathe riding my bike. And so in that process, I got to just before getting some really good support. And there's this time where God really just said to my heart, he said, I don't need your name. I want your heart. You know, there's people around you every week, and look at the kids that you sign their hat when they come up to your pit, and you can see them with the big eyes that you always gave the athletes you looked up to. Just the influence that I could start to see that I was having over little kids, it tugged at my heart, because I knew that they're looking for the same thing I had been looking for. And ultimately I had found that in my relationship with God. And so I was realizing that, you know, what I do with that influence or that platform is so important. And so that started a dream of what could we do if we united a lot of different athletes with that platform, and we could pour into these little kids. And what better model would it be than through camp? You know, we have a week with these kids. We could teach them how to ride. We could teach them how to fall well so they don't get hurt as often. And we can just teach them about their value. And ultimately, you know, what does it mean to be royalty other than we're sons and daughters of the King of Kings? And so that's where our passion came from. And so here we are 16 years later, and the camp, how you asked how we got to West Virginia, we actually almost bought a summer camp about 7 years ago it was in Colorado. We had looked at a lot of camps, but Colorado was the one that we had landed on. And we put the money down on the property under contract. Day before closing, I wake up and I just hear God's voice saying, don't buy this place. I've got something better for you. I was like, man, that's bad timing. I was like, couldn't you have told me a few months back? Like, what are we doing here?
Come on.
Yeah. Like, well, you know, I trust that this is on purpose. And so he made it really clear, just pass. So we passed on the property. And then an hour and a half later, I get a phone call from a guy in Dallas. And he said, hey, we have a property we want you to look at. I don't know if you're going to buy that one in Colorado or not, but we need you to get out here and look at this. I said, well, I just passed on that one, so I have nothing to lose. I'm on my way. So I flew out to Dallas and sat down with him and his partner, his business partner, and they rolled out this map of what is the Summit Bechtel Reserve and said, here's 10,000 acres, 10,600 acres of an action sports facility. There's more than $400 million put into this place. It is an action sports heaven. And it's underutilized. We'd love to see you bring some kids. So what's it look like to bring your program to West Virginia? And it was very surreal, you know, thinking we thought we gave everything up an hour and a half ago, and here we have an opportunity to step into this new place. And well, I mean, an hour and a half before, you know, for the phone call. But anyway, we moved our property or location to West Virginia, and the rest is history. We're in our sixth year of being there. This will be our 5th year of camps, and it's been a dream. And we have a big shoe to fill. Yeah. Big shoe to fill.
Yeah. What I think is cool about where you guys are at, I love West Virginia, and what's neat about it is you can go from like outskirts of Pittsburgh to outskirts of DC to literally middle of absolutely nowhere, West Virginia, and you're in the same state. And where you guys are at, it's the route a lot of people in this state take as they're going to the beach. And, they drive right through, Fayetteville and Beckley, and you don't even know that there's this massive just compound off to the left, because it just looks like you're just in God's country, like you're in the middle of nowhere. And in the fall, the leaves are beautiful, and you drive over New River Gorge, and you're like, man, I am so out. And then there's these hidden gems, and you've got the Boy Scout camp, which they have, the Jamboree, and it brings in thousands and thousands of, little boys that are in that program. And then now you guys have, Camp Royal, which is right there as well. And you have your own facility, but you're also utilizing the Boy Scout camp. How was that like when you got there the first time? Like you're in Dallas right now, but you're not from Dallas, but you're not from like rural middle of nowhere West Virginia. So like, was it a culture shock? Were you like, what what did I get myself into? Because it's a cool town. Like Fayetteville and Beckley are awesome, but you're not talking about Pittsburgh or DC or Dallas. Like it's middle of nowhere. So what was that like when you got there and you saw where the facility was at? Never mind the facility itself, because it's immaculate, but where the facility is at. What was that like?
Honestly, it wasn't a big culture shock for me because I grew up in a tiny little mountain town in Colorado.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so that's what I was used to. I was used to the outdoor lifestyle. I mean, Fayetteville, that area, it is incredible for outdoor stuff. Yeah. The mountain biking, rock climbing, rafting, some of the best rafting in the world right there. Well, the Buena Vista, Colorado is also one of the like meccas for rafting, whitewater rafting. And so I actually felt very at home.
That's cool.
There, except for they call them mountains. I don't see any mountains.
Yeah. I was gonna say they're more like hills. Yeah, that's funny. They are not mountains compared to what you come from. Well, that's cool. So I mean, so you got there, and it's a good feeling then, as far as like what the choice that you're have the option to make.
Yeah, and it's enough different that I'm fascinated by it's a rainforest, and it's beautiful. The New River Gorge right there, the Bridge Day, it's one of the only bridges in the U.S. that's legal to jump off of with a base jumping rig, and they do that every October for Bridge Day, and it's awesome. But just a great vibe. That the area is really fun. Tons of stuff to do for adults or kids alike. So it felt like we fit in really well there, but definitely different than what we expected. We expected to be close to a major city or something like that. And this is where we're at, is like you mentioned a second ago, about 10 driving hours from 2/3 of the U.S. population, because the East Coast is so dense. So we can get to a lot of these major cities in 3.5 hours. So that's pretty nice. Yeah,
I was surprised that we have an e-bike team, and that was our finale race on September 11th. And Justin Brayton was there, and obviously everybody that listens to this show knows Supercross icon Justin. And I'm like, man, that's cool that you drove all the way here. And he's like, oh man, it's like 3 hours from Charlotte or Mooresville, which is where he's from. And I'm like, man, it was almost 3 hours from Morgantown, West Virginia for me. So it was kind of opened my eyes to, yeah, it's 3 hours, but it's not. It's 3 hours to a really big city on the East Coast, so it's really not as secluded. It's not like Snowshoe, to where people that get there for the World Cup were like, "Where am I?" And you literally have no cell service. I mean, it's not quite that bad. So, but are you pulling campers from just that local area, or talk to me about who's coming to your camp, because you've got a couple really talented kids. One that you told me about, I follow him on Instagram, from New York. And I mean, so it's not just, backcountry West Virginia, mountain bike lovers that are coming to your camp. You've got people from all over, right?
Yeah, we had several people come from California, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, a lot from Texas. It's
that's cool.
All over. Yeah, it's really fun. Several from Florida. And so it's the only faith-based, like, overnight resident summer camp that's action sports focused. So we hope there will be more. We hope to open several more. We're looking at other properties around, but that's now cool. That we're using the Summit property, it's like I said, a big shoe to fill. So we want to grow to as big as we can there and reach as many kids as we can there. but also expand to different parts of the U.S. because that'll help the different regions. We're going to pull a few from California at a time, but what if we had one in California or in Utah or right in that area?
How are you guys pulling? So like when you guys have been there for a little while now, but like how does that happen? I mean, because nothing is like the Field of Dreams to where if you build it, they will come. And you've got big names like Woodward that probably every kid can tell you by memory. So when Camp Royal is in year 1 and year 2 or whatever it is, and you guys are still fresh on the scene, and you're in West Virginia, how are you finding and getting the attention and draw these kids in California, New York, and wherever?
Word of mouth's been the biggest thing.
Yeah.
As funny as it is, we've done a lot of marketing through Facebook, and we've tried Instagram, and we've tried Google ads and different stuff like that. But really the thing that gets the most traction is we've brought a lot of athletes out to play and said, hey, we have a new facility, want to fly you out here, hang out, just let everyone know. And that's been our trade-off. And we'll still do that. I mean, that's like with Barry Nobles, we talked to him, we're like, hey man, just come out for a few days. We'd love to have you, and that's how you know about it.
Yep.
So it's the word of mouth. It's trying to get people to share, because we can either put a lot of money into, which we don't have a lot of money, but God always provides on it, but we could put the money into advertising, or we could put it into facilities and the right people to be there, the right athletes and whatnot. And so we've chosen the other way, saying, if we put the product to a premium level, then rely a lot more on word of mouth, rather than promising a great product, but not having a premium product.
Sure.
We don't want it that way. So we have slow growth at the beginning. I think that's going to be a better long play. So
it's interesting hearing you kind of talk about your strategy, and you refer to it as word of mouth. And I see and hear a lot of what the word of mouth is. You guys have really seen the value, and you just said it, tapping into influencer marketing, which is a form, influencer marketing rather. That's a form of word of mouth. So I mean, this sport has got such a unique, this sport as in moto and cycling, and you have scooter riding and all this stuff, but there's such a unique opportunity to easily tap into influencers, because who doesn't want a free invite to come ride this awesome facility? And then if you kind of play your cards right, like I cannot never remember his name. Is it Earhart, the kid from New York?
Christian Earhart.
Christian Earhart, yeah. I discovered him because of Barry Nobles, guest on this show. And I started following this kid, just doing this insane stuff on these dirt jump mountain bikes. And now I watch him, and like, I'm a 32-year-old man. He's a kid, but I'm like, man, I want to go where that kid's riding. Like, I want my, when I have a kid, I want my kid to go there. So that's how it works. Like, I think there's so many opportunities, even if your company isn't a camp or facility like Brandon has. Man, like if you've got something cool, like, we've talked about, the DO YouTube channels and the vlog epicness and tapping into these YouTube influencers, it is just word of mouth at scale. And unlike, workout nutrition products for people that go to the gym, like that industry, the big gym rat industries, they're paying those guys. Like a lot of these folks, like you guys, like, man, I would come ride that place for free if I had a big following just to get that experience. So there's a lot of untapped potential, and it sounds like you guys are tapping into that. So how does it work? I mean, is camp in session certain months out of the year? And then like right now there's nothing going on there and it's closed down and you're going around doing business development? Or how does this work it gets really cold and snows here in the winter, so I assume at some point Camp Royal, your doors close for the season, or how does that work with you guys?
We don't ever really close the doors. There are 2 months. It's really December and January that it's really tough to do much. We do have 4 indoor skate parks that's easier for us to use. So that's nice. So we have, like you mentioned, our facility, it's about 20 acres where we have a slope style course and a bunch of dirt jumps and we have 2 pump tracks and then a dual slalom track and then 4 airbags, a resi setup,
that's awesome.
An outdoor park. And then that's on our property. And then we use the summit for the other stuff. But so the indoor stuff we can use even when it's cold and snowy.
Nice.
But our program turns into after school programs for the local kids as soon as camp gets done. So June, July, and most of August is camp. and we'll do a day camp to start the season off. Then we do about 6 or 7 weeks of overnight camp, and then another week of day camp. And then once that's done, we kick it into our road show, which actually we ran into you at the.
Okay, that's what I've witnessed then. Yeah, that's cool.
So
two different weekends.
With a ramp that comes off the top
yep.
into airbag. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun.
How many people ask if they can ride that? Hey, can I hit your jump?
Everybody. It's so funny. And all the old people dare the other old people to do it. And I'm like, actually, I'm most nervous about you guys because we break a lot easier than those little kids that bounce. But
that's cool.
We just started that this fall. So that's been a busy new, I don't know, season for us with that. But
and that helps with getting exposure on the camp in general, right? Because people are like, what's Camp Royal, right? I would assume that's kind of the play there.
Yep. Yeah. And so we're getting that on the road, and we have a deal where if there's a gathering of, we haven't set the number, but I'd say 150 or 200 people, then we'll come for free and just ask that if you want to make a donation to cover fuel or cover, our expenses of bringing the athletes out or anything like that, it helps us to continue to go forward. But that's something to help us get the word out about what we're doing. So that's really fun for churches or youth groups or school groups or whatever, so we're starting that. And then I'm on the road fundraising, trying to keep all the back end going because this is a nonprofit and someone's got to keep the payroll going, got to keep the insurance paid and the marketing paid. So that's something to keep me really busy. That's why I'm in Dallas right now.
So you're a moto guy at heart. Is there, the facility you guys have and then implementing being a moto facility into that, I know is a whole nother behemoth of an undertaking. Has there ever been any, aspirations of incorporating moto into it? Because that's one thing that I've always found unique. Like moto is like the true action sport, but you never see it at, there's a couple other, there's a camp in Ohio, you have Woodward, and like you never really you see skateboarding, you see BMX, you used to see rollerblading, you see scooter riding now. Do you think moto is something that you guys could ever incorporate, or is it just there's so much more that goes into it, I'm sure?
It is a lot more difficult. It's really easy to put a skate park together, and now you have something for bikes, scooters, and skateboards.
Yeah.
A moto track is a whole different aspect, but that's my heart, man. I've since the beginning, I've wanted to build a track, and I've talked to a lot of guys in the industry, good friends of mine that have been in the industry for years and years. And I believe we could pull a really, really good program off. And the goal wouldn't be, hey, you're going to come here and you're going to need a pro license to ride our Supercross track. And this is where you're going to train before and after, your season and whatnot. This would more be, how do we get more younger kids into the sport?
Yeah.
I think it could progress to the level of us pushing more for like another amateur national track, because I believe that would be a really healthy thing to help grow the sport. But our heart would be to grow the sport instead of be a resource for the pros, as much as that's what I personally would love to do.
Well, I think the sport needs that right now. I mean, with, the one benefit of what's happened with COVID is, man, just the infiltration of new blood into the off-roading sports, whether it's mountain biking or Jeep, whatever, or moto. Like, I feel like there's an opportunity to really influence so many young kids on what the sport is, how to safely do it. And I've heard, Tim Cotter and the Coombs family talk at length about how they want some type of, program to safely teach youth how to ride motorcycles. I know that's something that the sport has talked about for years. That would be cool to see that get implemented at some capacity.
Yeah, it's in the conversation, and we're working a lot on that. And so I'll kind of under promise over deliver on that one. But
that's cool.
That's been a big initiative that we've been pushing on for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Well, man, what's next? I mean, what is there anything that obviously without sharing information that's not ready to share, is there anything that people can kind of expect going into 2022 and reasons they should check out Camp Royal for maybe themselves or their kids?
Yeah, I appreciate that. This next summer is going to be a really, really big summer for us. We didn't expand our housing, but we had, I messed up this last year. We we had high aspirations of building our own registration software because we wanted it to be custom and smooth and easy for the parents. Bad idea, because we didn't anticipate the kind of data load or whatever. I see, this is out of my wheelbox, out of my wheelhouse. Essentially, too many people jumped on at the same time and crashed the server. I said, what does that even mean? Can you fix it? Can you get it back? And he said, well, we're going to run into that problem again. Switch servers, everything got messed up. And we basically went to old school. Just call us if you want to come to camp. We'll get your info.
That's awesome.
And so this year, I mean, we had more than double failed camp registrations than we had people show up, well over. And so we would have been sold out according to those numbers if everybody that tried to register was there. So I'd say that we're going to open registration for camp, and we're supposed to be October 14th. So it's coming up in just a few days. And once that opens, that's early bird. You're going to get a great price on camp. Get in right away. And we have a really fun referral program that if you refer somebody that comes to overnight camp, then you get $100 credit towards another camper or toward your own camper. If you send 10 kids to camp, then your registration is paid for. You can also use that for merch or camp store or whatever during the week. And so I just encourage you to jump on. It's so much fun. These kids come and they're impacted. They have a blast with our athletes. Christian Earhart, you're talking about, he was the youngest guy to ever land a triple backflip, still is. He did that at camp last summer, not this last one, but the one before. And guys like that, that's who I'd want my kids hanging out with.
Yeah.
They're positive, they're bright, but they're so fun to be around. And then, so we're going to have a full summer, June through July, through the beginning of August, and then hopefully some family camps towards the end of the summer. So again, try to under-promise, over-deliver on that one, but we'd love to have some family camps, maybe some father-son stuff where they can come up and do some fun stuff together. And I don't know, man, I'm just really hyped. I think that we're going to have the best year yet this coming summer.
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome, man. I definitely want to. I still have not gotten down to check out the facility. And last time we spoke, we mentioned we need to make that happen. So I'm definitely going to reach out to you and come down and check it out. And I didn't realize that registration was opening literally at the time of recording this next week. So we'll put this episode out the week of October 11th. And you said registration opens the 14th. Where what's the website that they can go to, or how can they sign up?
It's weareroyal.com.
Cool.
So weareroyal.com. And then the other places you can find us is on Facebook. If you just Google Camp Royal and you see a black crown, that's us. The URL is the Royal Camp. And then on Instagram, it's Camp Royal.
Yeah.
At Camp Royal.
I recommend everybody go to YouTube as well, and just YouTube, just search for Barry Nobles and then type in Camp Royal. And I'm sure he did 2 or 3 days of videos when he was there, and it's really cool. It gives you a vlog style look at Brandon's facility, and Brandon, I think you're in it, and obviously the slopestyle contest. So check that out, and then obviously check out weareroyal.com. And Brandon, when you're back in West Virginia, let me know. I will definitely be down, and I got a new dirt jumper built up, so we'll come down and check it out and put some stuff on social for you too.
I appreciate it, Luke. Thank you so much for letting me jump on today with you guys. This is fun. I love what you're doing, and thanks for helping push the sport forward, all these sports. But you're the man.
Yeah. No, also, man. Go ahead.
I just want to say that what you're able to do in social platforms, that is something I'm really excited about looking at, because that could help us push this forward to get to the right audiences. And so we have another conversation about what you're doing through your marketing.
Yeah,
I would love to talk more about.
I appreciate it, man. Checks in the mail. I appreciate you saying that. No, for real, I'll end by saying this. Brandon's doing something that is I've dreamed of since I was a kid. We don't have these types of opportunities in West Virginia. I used to run the only BMX racetrack in West Virginia. One of the only motocross tracks in West Virginia went away. Like, there's not that much opportunity. Yes, Racer X is here, and my Moto and cycling advertising companies here, but there's not that much opportunity for action sports enthusiasts in West Virginia. So Brandon, I think it's cool what you're doing. Not to blow smoke up your butt. I'm so excited that this is in our little home state that I think a lot of people probably take for granted because they have access to this kind of stuff when we don't. So definitely check it out. Again, it's weareroyal.com. And Brandon, we'll be visiting you here sooner than later, hopefully.
So, man, thank you,
Cool,
Luke.
man.
It's great.
Awesome.
Great
Yeah.
to join you, man.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impact Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpact.com. That's THINKIMPAKT.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.